Kevin here, top wanted financial advisor and best-selling author, and we are here to talk about the stock market. Today I want to answer a question that y'all have asked me a lot of different times over a lot of years. So I want to go ahead and address it in a new and refreshed way. I think I've done these in like a 1 minute span, not necessarily over like 10 or 15 minutes. So I want to describe this and help you guys out on YouTube. Do it one time. Hey, Kevin here, top 100 financial advisor and best-selling author, and we are here to talk about the stock market. I'm going to answer a question that y'all have been asking me, and that is, when should I sell my stock? So I've already actually discussed a lot of the tax side of when you sell and what account and all the things that happen there. So make sure you go back and check those videos. But today's question is extremely important. It's extremely popular. And it can be a dangerous question if you don't necessarily know the answer. So I've said this on Twitter the other day, but if you don't know when to sell, then you don't have a strategy. You don't have an investing strategy. If you don't have an investing strategy, it is going to become very difficult to be successful consistently in the stock market. Yes, you might grab you a meme stock and make some money there, but that's one time, right? How can you be consistent in investing if you don't have a strategy? That is going to help you to answer when you should sell, and it always goes back to your goals. So I'm going to walk you through a few examples of what I use, what works for me, what works for my students, and what has worked for my previous clients as well. There are two ways, count them, two ways that I make that selling decision. And some of y'all have heard this before, some of y'all may be new, and then I'll give you the other side of it that I don't talk about as often, but it can also be very effective. So you can either sell based on time or sell based on price. Now, selling based on time is the easiest, most consistent way to do it. What I mean by that is you need to set a date, whether it's a year and you come back and you check your portfolios every year and you decide, hey, look, what I thought about this stock isn't true, I have to sell it off. Or you can do it 6 months. At 6 months, which is what I do, and I say, look, it's been 6 months. I gave you time to grow, to thrive, to do all this stuff, and you didn't hit the bar, so now you have to go. That's how I personally do it. Now, a lot of people are looking at me like, oh my God, 6 months, I have to wait a year. Like, what happens during that time? What if the stock falls down to zero? What if I lose a lot of money? Well, that goes back to the research process. We did a video on the research process. If you are afraid that your company is going to lose that much money within a year or within 6 months, that goes back to the company, to the ETF that you might be investing in, and that might not be a place that you want to invest in. For example, for me, I bought Nike, I bought T-Mobile, and I think it was Adobe all around December 2020. Thought all those companies were going to do well. Nike, for the longest time, and you can check and verify this yourself via Public or just pull up a chart from Yahoo Finance, and you'll see that from December 2020 up until about June-ish of 2021, Nike hadn't done all that well until they announced earnings, and the stock shot up 14% basically overnight, and that's how I made my money. And regardless of what was going to happen, I gave Nike 6 months and I was going to sell it after that, and that was just going to be the end of it. I was going to wipe my hands of it. Same thing with T-Mobile. T-Mobile was kind of iffy, then it started to grow. At the 6 month mark, they were up about 9 or 10% or whatever it was at that point in time, but again, I gave it time to grow. When, as a financial advisor, this is normal, right? This is normal to check in with your clients up to 4 times a year. You come back, you make some adjustments. But I think really from the investing perspective, 6 months or 1 year, either one of those is better. From a tax perspective, a year is better. You want to wait a year, really a year and a day if you want to get technical, and then you can make those selling decisions. Maybe you'll save yourself some tax money there and help yourself out by allowing that company to grow and change for an entire year. So that's number one. You need to sit down and decide how long you want to do it for. I don't think a week is going to work for you. I really don't think a month is going to work for you. It needs to either be 6 months or a year. Now, you might be looking at me and say, well, what about long term? What if I want to hold a company for 10, 15, 20 years? You are more than welcome to do that. I'm with you on that boat. However, what happened 20 years ago isn't always the truth 20 years from now, right? So Apple is one of the most dominant companies out there. I think it'll also be here around 20 years from now, right? Microsoft is a very good example. However, I just need to go back and check my notes. Now, every year I don't sell off everything, okay? It's just Are you still good? Yes or no? And then we keep it pushing. More often than not, they are. They should be. Again, if you're doing that research process that I showed you guys earlier. So number one is time. Number two is price. Now, to determine a price to get in and out of a stock is a little more difficult because everybody's process is different. And if you're investing in something that's a little shady, right, it's going to become way more difficult. This is one of the reasons why I don't mess with anything that's less than $5. Those are penny stocks. I don't mess with anything that is usually caught up in the meme stocks because it's super hard and super difficult to decide at what price do I think this is realistically going to go, and what price could I get out without losing a whole lot of money or losing everything. When it's a company like that, it's really difficult for you to have a good price to get in and get out of. But I'll walk you through an example. So I took notes on this one. So Applied Materials, AMAT, that is the ticker symbol. That's a company I looked at maybe 6, almost 7 weeks ago. I said, I think this company can go to $155 per share. Okay. I bought it at $137 a share, thinking, okay, look, I got in at 137. I think it can go to 155. If it gets to 155, I get out, I make my money, I keep moving. However, I also looked and said, well, if this doesn't go well, and I have my exit point written down here, I'm going to get out at 122. If the stock drops down to $122 a share, I'm out. That's my plan. That's the plan, okay? So I already know before I buy, this is what I'm going to do. I'm not ever confused. It's either going to go up or down, or it's going to go sideways, and that's what happens. So right now, as of this recording, I'm looking at my paper now, the stock is at 139. So I bought it at 138, and it's just pretty, for the last 6, 7, 8 weeks, I made $1. But guess what? My plan is still in place. I don't need to be patient. I don't need to panic. I don't need to do anything. I need to sit here and wait until it either goes to 155 and I get out, or terribly, it drops down to 122 and I get out. That's it. Every company that you want to invest in, you need to have one of those two plans, either the price plan or the time plan. Now, we'll tell you this. That price plan is more important if you have a tighter window, if you're trying to do more trading, if you're trying to invest and do something within like a few weeks, if you're trying to invest and do something within just a few months, 1 or 2 months, you really kind of want to be more price focused. If you're more a long-term investor, you want to sit back, you want to allow those companies to move. You don't want to have to be in this thing every single day. You want to go with more of that time perspective, the 6 months or a year. If you're really long-term, you probably just want to come back and check in on it in a year. It's boring, yes, but it's also very, very effective. Now, if you want to go the time perspective, but you don't want to wait that long, you don't want to have to worry about what if this company falls off the face of the earth, then you want to use what is called a stop loss order. We have those, I have a video describing it. Essentially what it does is it stops your loss at a certain price point, which you have to determine. Now, I like to, if I ever use a stop loss for my long-term stuff, honestly, I do not. I do not use stop losses for my long-term investments. The reason why I do is because if it dips to a certain point, I'm going to keep buying anyway. So I don't want it to dip and I get out, I miss those gains by buying in low. I just buy consistently. So I don't use stop losses for my personal long-term stuff. The stuff you see me do on public, ain't no stop loss there. Only time I'm really using a stop loss is when I'm doing short-term trading. Applied Materials is one of those where I know for a fact the order's already in. If it drops to 122, I'm out. If it goes to 155, I'm out. Those are already set. Those orders are there. I'm good there. Everything else, I don't use a stop loss. I don't use none of that stuff. I'm just putting in money consistently because I expect the company to do well. I've done my research. That research process is consistent, and we're gonna keep it pushing. Now, 6 months, if you didn't do what you're supposed to do, then we're gonna hop out. But that's my process. That's my strategy. It's not the only strategy in the world, but it's the one that I know has worked for me. It's the one I know works for my clients, and it's the one that is most repeatable. Okay, you don't want to get something that's overly complicated, that you cannot repeat, and doesn't work. It doesn't have any evidence of working either. I think for most people, you kind of want to lean on the time perspective because a lot of people aren't yet skilled, and you need a lot more practice to decide what prices you should get in and out at. It is not super easy where you can just pick a price out of the sky. You don't want to do that. There's a little bit of research, a little bit of technique and practice to decide this is the exact price I'm getting in at, and this is the exact price I'm getting out at. A little a little bit of math, a little bit of a little skill in that, which I do teach. I do teach people this inside the Investors Toolkit. I'll put that link below. But my students are able to practice this and get very, very good at it. It is easy to do once you know exactly what to do. So that's a part of it. But that's how you know when to sell. Now, last question you might be asking is, well, I already bought something. So now what, right? I've already bought something. I made some money on it, or maybe I've lost some money on it. How do I know if I should sell or wait or what have you? At this point, right, whether you're up or down, this is when you want to go through that 3-step research process. Go back and check that video. We talked about looking at the charts. So we said, I think it's 5-year and the 1 year. You can decide where you feel there. Then you want to check the recent news, and then you want to go to the company's website. 1 and 2 you definitely want to do. If you want extra credit, you'll do number 3. You want to go back and decide from those articles. Please read 3 to 5. The more you read, the better off you're going to be. Go back and read and decide where you think that company is going to go. That's going to help form your opinion, and you make that decision from there. I can't make it for you. I don't know what you're investing in. I don't know what your goals are, but you do. Okay, so those are the things that are going to help you to make that decision. Read those articles, look at the chart, see how the company has grown or not grown in 5 years, and then especially in 1 year, and make that choice for yourself. Again, if you're already in it, I don't know your goals. I'm not going to sit here and tell you if it does X, Y, Z, do this. Can't tell you that because I don't know what stock you're in, right? That would be a disingenuous thing for me to do. So do that to form your own opinion and then make that decision. But from here on out, you want to take either the time approach or the price approach. Again, I'm telling most people you want to lean towards that time approach. When you use that research technique and you use that time approach, you are going to be a much better investor because you're going to walk in more informed, you're going to choose better companies, and then you're going to give them enough time to grow. What a lot of people see is something will happen, they'll announce earnings, the stock drops a little bit, people overreact, and you sell out of things that you should have just kept, or you sell out of things that you should have continued to keep investing in. One of those examples for my son, who's a really long-term investor, he's only 3. I tell you this all the time about Nike. We got in at 107 when he was, I think this is like 2018 or so, when he was first born. We got in. Coronavirus hit, went down to 65, we kept buying. Went down to 88, we kept buying. Went up to 97, we kept buying. And now Nike is where it is today, and he's made a whole lot of money on Nike because of that process, but also because we're long term. I know Nike's not going anywhere. I sold it because I have a specific deadline, and I think other companies are going to do better. But if I got back in, when my son got in, I would have kept it too, right? I just didn't get the $65 price that he got. So I had to make a decision from there. So those are your answers. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I wanted to make it super simple, super easy, and super actionable. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Like 80% of y'all that watch and subscribe. We are almost already at 1,000 subscribers. So I appreciate y'all for coming out. Talk to you guys later. Bye.